Hey Chungus, you're a YouTuber. Watch a video on it, dummy.
Al rezar en cosas la besa y me decías calimado el Macarena, el Macarena, que el Macarena.
Let's go, baby.
Macarena, el Macarena, el Macarena, el Macarena. Macarena, enamorado que termina y la seta me la ha pasado. Macarena, el besame cosa la besa y nada filas que activado.
A little long, overweighted Macarena video, folks. Thank you for wrapping up that wonderful fundraiser we had with Car for Ukraine, where we were able to get the 5th border guard a wonderful armored van that they needed for their drones. They're in the drone game. We are in the news game and fundraising game, and that's what we are going to start doing again. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a wild week, folks. Wild week. In the news, in life, in everything. What is going on? Shout out to everybody's here. Nick, in time, good to see you. BB, good to see you. Pyro, thank you for being here. Who else we got? I saw Spider Fate. Did I see Spider Fate? Spider Fate's here. How you guys doing today? Matt, hello Matt. Thanks for being here, guys. It is 3:23 p.m. Pacific time in the Golden State of California, USA, and we are going to talk a little bit about some soy wars that are going out. And I gotta give credit where credit's due. I gotta give credit. Shout out to Dylan Burns and his chat. I was doing dishes or making dinner or something, I don't know, putting something in the crock pot, and I heard somebody say soy wars, and I'm like, okay, if Dylan doesn't change his thumbnail with the name of his stream to soy wars, I'm stealing it. So I took it and made a thumbnail. Quiet night tonight, I can see. It's fine, just getting back into live streaming. Took a little time off. I had some stuff going on, still got some stuff going on, but I think it'll be all right. But yeah, another thing we're getting into now. So it is now October. I took the month of September off for fundraising and just chilled out, which was painful for me to do, but I had to do it. We are going to get into fundraising again, and we are going to Dima, my friend Dima, who had to move back to Ukraine from the United States, or chose to and had to. He chose to, he didn't have to. He chose to. But he went back. Here's a little bit of Dima. This man right here.
А як це так? Ні, ну мало ли що може бути, і вообще, і как-то. Ну, тобто вони...
І
Dina's one of the...
фотографії...
He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Дитини, моєї сім'ї, коли... Тобто трошки йшло. Але
so let's see if I can actually...
якісь там виділили, якісь... Але на території окуповані, якісь там... типу територію, приміщення, але там нічого не готово, треба брати.
I actually wonder if I can... I should be able to... Anyways, I'll mess with it later. We're not going to play. He was on one of the Ukrainian channels the other day, and he popped up on my feed. They gave me a shout out on here. And then I called everybody I do in SAC.
Тобі не сказали, що ти вийдеш через 10 років, да? Для них
let him know
всі
he was on here. So he's back up there, he's doing interviews.
Що вони служили.
But here's what I'm saying, guys. Here's the deal. He has a baby on the way. And we should do an online baby shower for him. He is an Azovstal steel factory survivor in Mariupol. He was fighting the Russians there when his hometown of Mariupol was leveled during that famous siege. He was in close combat, so close it was 5 meters away. They had lost radio contact. They couldn't get out. They were surrounded by the Russians, and he was shooting his gun around a corner 5 meters away. When the nightfall came, they snuck out. He calls that his second birthday, but they were captured later on, and he spent 6 months in Russian captivity. He is a famous person. He's famous in the United States. He's been to Washington. He's famous in Ukraine. He has a familiar face. People know who he is. They just know who he is.
Я все терпів, ну, один там був такий...
And the other day on this, he said, he talked a little bit about the supporters that he knew here. Mainly me, Kim, you guys know Kim. She'll be on the stream also later on to talk more about Dima. But on this particular interview, when he saw I was in the chat, he had some really kind words to say about us over here in the United States, and I wanted to share that with you real quick. If I can find the million. Okay. So here's a little bit of what happened here. Kim got on there, and Kim and these are my friends. They farewelled us when we were leaving. Anthony is a little boy. They mean a lot to me. They are people with a capital P. I tear up when I think about them. Then the host read a second one. You see, Anthony says he wants to learn Ukrainian because of you. You're like an ambassador to our motherland, the host said. And then he says, see how the people love you in America? Why didn't Azovstal Heart help you stay in the USA? Dima said that when he got out of captivity, his son developed issues that I won't get into, and he came here for help. Then he also talked about... I could say that. I'm going to skip that part. Then he also talked about the grassroots movement here, Sunflower Society. We gathered on the 24th of every month, where you've been there with me for the rallies. We volunteered together, fundraise medical supplies, evacuation vehicles, you name it. We even went to Washington for advocacy. These people are gold. They would give the shirts off their backs. So yes, it kept going on. I got it translated for me, even though it's in subtitles, guys. If you want to see this video and learn a little bit, you can get it. You can get it translated in English. I was just having a moment there. I couldn't figure out. Let me post it. But he just had a recent interview. He's got more interviews. He's been all over the place. He's very well known, and he is an amazing person. And I missed the hell out of him already. Absolutely. So we're gonna do a fundraiser. They're right now currently they have fundraised one vehicle for Lazar. That's his group. So Lazar, a little bit about Lazar too. They are the cream of the crop. You're talking top 3 units in the Ukrainian armed forces. These guys are fucking shit up, like above Azov third assault. They are the cream of the. These guys, they don't play. These guys are the real deal. So he's fundraising a second vehicle. They already got one. They are doing a second vehicle right now. I'm giving him the option. I know it's going to go to the troops. I know if we do this, it's going to go to the troops, because he was trying to give his baby shower away in real life to the troops. And they said, no, we'll fundraise for it here. Because he's that type of guy. So I have his PayPal linked. We're going to do the entire month of October for Dima. And he doesn't even know this is happening. That's the best part. I haven't even told him yet. I haven't contacted him about it. I want to hit him with maybe a week's worth of donations and tell him to check his PayPal. That would be freaking amazing, because he is one of the best humans I've ever met. Absolutely humble. And he'd give a shirt off of his back to help too. He's just the best, one of the best people. So that's what we're going to be doing, guys. We're going to help Dima, and we'll have discussion. Me and Kim will get on probably Friday. I think we're going to do a stream and talk more about him. And all the stuff that he's doing and some of the stuff that he's been through. All right, that's the plan. Now, let's talk soybeans, guys. The exciting soybeans, guys. American farmers right now, guys, are getting annihilated. They are absolutely getting annihilated. And like, if their life wasn't stressful enough already being a farmer, the tariffs that are in place are absolutely demolishing the soybean industry in the United States of America. Now keep in mind, this soybeans affect more than just the soybean crop, right? They're a rotational crop. Soybeans gather tons of nitrogen out of the air and they put it into the earth. They help fertilize the planet. Then you bring in rotational crop, you bring in your corn, which takes a ton of nutrients, right? And what's corn used for? Everything. Food, fuel, clothing, you name it, right? So it's a necessity. We need to have soybeans here, but we need to be able to sell them too. Who's buying the soybeans? China. China was. China is not anymore. China is not buying any soybeans from the United States farmers. Right? They were buying like 60%, over half of America's total soybeans, right? You think, man, they sure do like their tofu, right? Wrong. Wrong. Humans are not the only ones that eat soybeans, right? So you've got a middle class rise in China, right? You've got people coming out of poverty in the middle class, which means more meat. Hog farms. The majority of the soybeans going to China were for the hogs, for meat, right? Makes sense? Well, China's decided to get all of their soybeans from Argentina and Brazil. In a tariff trade war. It's a tariff war, guys. We are in a trade war and we are getting demolished. Maybe not me and you. We are paying for it. We're paying the price because I think it was like 97% of the meal from soybeans the animals feed in the United States is soy as well. So that raises your meat costs here, right? I went to the store the other day. You're looking at tri-tip. It was $45 for a fat tri-tip at the store. $45. That's not like 3 fat T-bones or ribeyes. It's 1 fat tri-tip. $45. $12.99 a frickin' pound, guys. Which is outrageous. I remember I was a butcher. I cut meat for 10 years. I remember when you could get tri-tip in the bag untrimmed for $2.97 a pound. $2.97. And if you had any skills at all, you had one little boning knife. You could clean the tri-tip up, sell it, or whatever. You could take it home, whatever. You know, it was cheap. It was so cheap. $2.97 a pound, right? $12.99 a pound. And we're talking, how long has it been? 15 years now? About 15 years ago. God, it's been that long. So it's been about 15 years. Oh, please let him know. Throw my name in the, if you're donating to Dima, throw my name in there from Pablo's community for a baby shower, and he'll get it. So, not only that, the beef industry has been under assault too by major companies, right? So now we're seeing a bunch of farmers come out and just say, hey, our lives are ending, are over. Our farms are over. We're going to go bankrupt. And keep in mind, like, the stress we're putting on these farmers, and Trump himself said there could be a little hurt to the farmers in the get-go. Well, guess what? The farmers have always been hurting. They have been hurting for a long time. Making it worse is not making anything better. And you're talking, I looked it up, the carry rate of farmers is like 50% higher than the average American, right? Because they're working their bones off. They're constantly in the farm. They're married to the farm. You're married to the farm when you get these farms. That's your life, right? So with declining exports, guess what? They're getting in trouble. Now they're getting grants from the government to burn their crops of taxpayer money because we can't sell it to China. So we're sitting on a bunch of this food. We're not donating it, right? God forbid we feed the people in our country with it. The government, the United States Department of Agriculture, is paying them to destroy their own crops. Does that make any sense? Our taxpayer money going to destroy their own crops so they get a grant, a check, and they sign their life away. We'll watch some clips here in a little bit. They sign their life away for this, right? They have to destroy or they will lose everything. The feds come in and say, you gave away some free soybeans, you're ours. And so is everything you own. So there's a lot of that going on right now. They're all hurting. The dairy industry is hurting. Anything that eats soy hurts, right? Pigs, that's why you're getting food costs extremely high. Everything's extremely high. Eggs did come down. Eggs came down, but the price of pork and the price of beef has skyrocketed. We're going to take a look a little bit on what the farmers are saying. Let me cut the music. We'll cut the music. We'll get into a little bit what the farmers are saying about this, guys.
Here in DC, look at me. I'm surrounded.
Oh yeah.
by
Also,
beautiful.
we might talk a little about Grijalva and the gentleman that was holding Mike Johnson's Grindr account hostage. Alleged Grindr account, I should say. We'll reformat that. That's exciting news, though. Okay. We're gonna go backwards from the way I. Now we'll start where I started. All right, this Haynesozum guy. This guy right here, amazing human being. I love the way he talks. I love the respect he has. That he's got. I don't know. It's something that's, I haven't seen in California in a long time, but I haven't been hanging around a lot of farmers. Let's take a listen.
Also, everybody says in the comments, Project 2025, didn't you read that? That's his platform.
Hey, Skylar, my name's Will Westmoreland, and I'm a farmer down in Southwest Missouri. And I just wanted to reach out to you and tell you that I am not an FAFO kind of guy. We probably disagree with each other on everything political, but there's a very specific reason why people are getting upset with you, and I wanted to explain that to you if you'd be willing to listen to an older guy kind of walk you through the process. Now, I'm not an FAFO guy because I know what's going to happen to poor people, the elderly, children, single moms, and over 250 million people every night around the world that go to bed hungry if the American farmer and rancher is run out of business because of Trump's policies. And that's what I want to explain to you tonight if you'll listen to me. I also wanted to let you know I sent you a private message. And if you ever want to get on the phone and you want to talk about the issues that Trump is forwarding that are bad for agriculture, I'd be willing to do that, and I'd be willing to listen to your arguments as well.
I love it. I love it. The fact this guy is not dumb. This man is extremely intelligent. I have the highest respect for him. This post came out like, what was it? Maybe 2 weeks ago now. He's got 60,000 views. He needs more views. This guy makes a ton of sense.
I also want to let you know that I've been a political consultant for over 30 years. I want to be right up front about that. I do that in addition to farming. And I want you to know a lot of younger people don't know, and I don't mean that in a condescending way, but more of an educational way. A lot of younger people don't know that right-wing talk radio and news, the pundits, the talking heads, and right-wing talk radio, etc., have been working for over 40 years to develop in rural people exactly the kinds of ideas that you have in your head, that all politicians are crooks, that they're all the same, that you can't trust traditional media, that anything you hear that comes out of Washington, D.C. or New York or the New York Times or CBS News, that it's all a lie. And they did this on purpose, and they started with Ronald Reagan. We used to have what's called a fairness doctrine in this country, where if you were a radio station or a television station and you were using the public airwaves to present a message, we had a fairness doctrine where you were required by law to share the other side of the story. And President Ronald Reagan, who was president when I was in high school and a little bit younger than that, had the fairness doctrine eliminated. He had it taken out of the books.
All right, so fairness doctrine was a U.S. communications policy enforced by FCC from 1949 to 1987 with two basic components. Broadcasters were required to dedicate a reasonable amount of time to covering controversial issues of public importance. When covering such issues, they were required to present opposing viewpoints in a fair and balanced manner. The doctrine was based on the scarcity rationale, the idea that since the number of broadcast frequencies is limited, Broadcasters must serve the public interest by ensuring the public is informed about multiple viewpoints. Let's keep going.
And there was a specific reason for that. It was designed so that organizations like Fox News and right-wing talk radio could start spreading the lie that all mainstream media was bad. Now, this was during the time of Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather, all the other news heads that we had out there that were highly respected. But it was a strategy to make it so that the airwaves no longer had to present an unbiased case. And then these right-wing media sources like Rush Limbaugh and Fox News, etc., began pouring it on to rural America. You can't trust politicians. You can't trust the news.
I grew up in the Rush Limbaugh days. I remember being a young child with a radio. I didn't have a lot to listen to. Rush Limbaugh was on there. His voice kind of caught my attention. A lot of the stuff, as a young, impressionable child, made sense to me. Even living in a house where financial aid was given, food stamps. We're talking not EBT. We're talking stamps, grub stubs, right? I grew up in a grub stub house with food bank food and peanut butter. Poverty, poor. Mom would spend dad's paycheck on jewelry. Go out and get fucked up and give us bare minimum of whatever. Bologna. Watery mashed potatoes and catfish with ketchup. But God forbid we miss a Rush Limbaugh episode, right?
What they did is they focused on destroying the trust in these institutions so that they could replace it with another institution. And they did that. They replaced it with Fox News. They replaced it with right-wing talk radio. And I can't tell you how many times when I was growing up, when I was your age, I'd walk into a job site or be on a farm and I would hear right-wing talk radio blaring on the radio all day long. And then after they had destroyed our faith in media institutions in rural America, they then turned their guns toward the government itself. And they began building in us a distrust of government organizations. And Skylar, here's the facts, okay? You can look this up on your own, but these are the facts. Rural America uses more welfare than the blue cities do. Rural America needs more help feeding our children. We need more help keeping our hospitals open. And guys like you and I, farmers out there that grow row crops or do agroforestry or raise cattle, we take welfare too. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because we can't control the cost of our inputs. We can't control the cost of what we sell our products for. We got to pay for shipping both ways, as Kennedy said. But the reality of the situation is they were able to instill in us the idea that the government money coming to us was okay and was a good thing, but the government money going everywhere else was a scam or a sham or communistic or socialistic, etc. So it reached a fever pitch finally where a lot of rural people, over 70% of rural farmers and ranchers, only believe the Fox Newses and the talk radio. And when they came to you and told you that Trump wasn't going to implement Project 2025 and that he didn't have anything to do with it, you believe that. And you're not alone. All I'm here to tell you is that you were lied to. I'm not asking you to admit you were wrong. I'm not telling you you effed around and found out because I don't want to see you lose your farm. And if there's anything I can do to help you not lose your farm, I'd be happy to do it.
I agree with this man too. Like I don't have... it's hard for me to have a foul bone in my body against a working farmer, even if they voted for Trump. It's hard for me to accept mentally. Like, if you can find one with enough, I know it's hard to talk to MAGA. It is like talking to a disease, but it's really hard for me to like. I'm not going to go out there and tell the American farmer, haha, go fuck yourself. That's what you get for voting for this, right? Haha, Fafo, haha. Oh, look at you cry. For other topics, maybe. But not to see American farmers suffer. Because these guys put everything they got into working and providing food. And making money, right? And it is an American tradition. I think my families were farmers. They came from Finland. They came here and farmed. Right? I think Takala, my family name, means farmer, right? Dark history, way back in the day, my great-great-grandpa was actually helping the Russians farm from Finland. My great-uncle was actually born in Russia. They ended up running out of money and food and had to get money to come back. But yes, so I come from a farming history as well in my family. So I'm going to take the stance to where I truly believe that the only way we're going to get Donald Trump and MAGA's fan base to turn against them is with the support of the American farmer.
But in the distrust that you built up for government over time, and due to the fact that you didn't think mainstream media was reliable anymore, and you began listening to the news sources that tried to convince you every day that Project 2025 was not a Trump deal, even though many, many people on his campaign worked for Project 2025, they put it together, they helped write it. There was an entire section on agriculture. And in that section on agriculture, they specifically say they're going to cut out programs like this. Then they're going to cut out crop insurance. And Donald Trump is on record, my friend. And Skylar, look this up. Don't take anything I'm telling you at face value. You look it up. That's the difference between me and a lot of people on here. Check what I've said. Make sure I'm not lying to you. But Donald Trump is on record saying that corporate farming is better than small family farms and ranches. And Skylar, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to corporatize agriculture. And I'm not talking about when you and I go out and put together an LLC so that we can get the tax benefits and the protections from liability that come with that. I'm talking about big ag corporations in Wall Street buying up family farms and ranches as they go out of business so that they can turn it into just another investment. In the last 10 years, we've broken every single record in regard to the number of farms and ranches being bought up by investment companies in the United States. And I'd be happy to share all of that data with you. But my friend, I think the worst thing that they did to us in rural America is they convinced us somehow to place the culture wars over our own well-being. And what do I mean by that? Brother, when I was young, you didn't care what anybody did in their bedroom.
Facts.
Gay, lesbian, trans, whatever. That was their life. And the only way the law changed was just to say that you can't discriminate against those people when you're hiring, and you can't commit acts of hate against them because they're different than you and I as heterosexual white men. That's all the law did. And Skylar, did you know that the Southern Baptist Convention, and I was a Southern Baptist for a long time, do you know that the Southern Baptist Convention had its own clauses in their charter that said that abortion was okay in the event that it saved the life of the mother or the child might be deformed? But it was political hacks in the religious Christian movement that came in and politicized the abortion topic in order to get folks like you and I in rural America to turn against it.
Gee, what political hacks could he be talking about? What political hacks came into the church and interrupted it and disrupted it? Can you think of any political hacks? I want to hear some names of political hacks you could mention in the church that have strayed the true believers away from their beliefs.
So I'm not here to tell you F-A-F-O, brother. I know how hard you work every day, and I know what you're trying to do for your family because I'm doing the same thing. And you may listen to what I have to say, and you may just think this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But I hope you'll listen to it with an open mind, and I hope you'll double check and research what I've told you. Because the truth of the matter is we've been lied to. So at this stage, I'm not even asking you to say you were wrong. I'm just asking you to admit that you were lied to. Trump was forwarding Project 2025. He just hired the guy to oversee cost and contracts in the federal government that wrote Project 2025. We were lied to, my friend. And nobody's going to judge you if you just admit that you were lied to and you made decisions based on the fact that you thought these contracts were going to be kept and that you were lied to. And then the next step is get involved with us to fight back. It doesn't make you a Democrat. It doesn't make you a turncoat. It just means you see wrong when it occurs and you fight back against it. Anyway, I hope that makes sense and have a great day.
Yeah, beautiful. Mic drop. Beautiful. Beautiful words. The way he presented it, I want to be able to talk to people like that and not become so emotionally compromised or up in my feelings, or to be able to like break it down for him. Hey, here's what's going on. No offense, but The way he did that is absolutely stellar. And this guy's blowing up.
Well, holy cow, TikTok. I woke up this morning after I did that video message to Skylar last night to 60,000 new friends. Around 6,000 requests to run for President of the United States of America, and 150 marriage proposals. That's a lot of excitement for an old farmer from Southwest Missouri, so thank you, everybody. Now let me answer the question that all of you want to know, and that is yes. I also woke up this morning to a message from Skylar, and I messaged him back, and I'm sure you can understand that at this point I'd like to keep that message private, and I'm hoping that we get an opportunity to sit down and talk with each other. Now, I've got to be right up front with you. I have no idea where all of this is going to go. I came on this app back in the summer because I wanted to talk about the politics of farming and ranching and just expose the world to what happens behind the scenes in the political arena. And I can't believe the amount of success we've had on here thanks to all of you. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate it. Now, I'm not the...
Pretty cool guy. Pretty cool. So far, I haven't heard a word. Actually, he did say one thing at the end of this I didn't appreciate, but we'll get to that.
Sharpest tack in the box, and anybody that's known me over the years can tell you that. But I do think we're on to something here. And I do strongly believe that if we're going to change things in this country and convince people that the policies of Donald Trump are not good for American farming and ranching, then we've got to be willing to talk to one another to explain why we believe that way. And based on all of the comments and messages that you're sending me, I think a lot of you feel the same way too. So I'll let you know what happens between Skylar and I when the time is right and if he's willing for me to do that. In the meantime, let me answer some of your questions. A lot of you have asked, Will, where can we follow you in the event that TikTok goes away? And I am on YouTube as well under Westmoreland Pops. I also want to remind all of you that today is somewhat of a national holiday here in Missouri and Kansas. So I'm going to do everything I can to respond back to the thousands of messages that many of you sent me. You had a lot of good questions. Some of you were asking for political advice because you want to run for office for the first time. And many of you had questions about agricultural policy. And I'd love to get back to each and every one of you. It's just going to take me a while to do that, so be patient with me. The last thing I'd like to say is that I still believe there isn't anything we can do as a people if we push back against the forces that are trying to divide us. But I also want all of you to know that I'm not a go along to get along type of person. I've got some really strong views as to why I think the policies of Donald J. Trump are really bad for American farming and agriculture.
This guy right here, these are the people that we need on our side. They will be the ones leading the front line in the midterms, for sure. The midterms, or even a reform to a new party. This gentleman right here, the words coming out of his mouth, sensible, calm, intelligent, charismatic. He's got a very good Midwestern vibe to him. I get good vibes off this guy. He seems very sincere, very honest, very down to earth. And yeah, I just threw his link up in the chat. I want to follow this guy a lot. We're gonna see more of him.
And I'm going to be regularly sharing those views. But at the same time, I'm going to do my best to try to meet people where they are to bring them over to our way of thinking. The last thing I want to say is this today. It's not just lip service when I thank all of you for sharing my video far and wide and for all the messages you sent and for the fact that you had enough faith in what I had to say to follow me to learn more as we go along. Honestly, guys, that's why I started the Back 40, to make a difference. And with your help, that's exactly what we're going to do. So I hope you and yours have a great day today. And this is the last time I'll say this. Go Chiefs.
Okay, he had me all the way up to go Chiefs. Sorry, Paige. Not a Chiefs fan, guys. But it's okay. We're going to follow him. We're going to check him out. He's growing really quick. I doubt I'd be able to get an interview with him, but maybe I can hook him up with some. He needs more publicity than my little channel, I feel like. So maybe I can link this guy up to someone bigger. But absolutely great words from this man. Absolutely can't wait to see what else he comes out with. It looks like he does fairly regular updates also on his page. Fairly regular. Doesn't have tons of views. This last one really had a lot of views. Some of them don't have a lot, but we can get into more later. For sure. That might not even be his main page. But I'll follow him on his, we'll check out his YouTube channel real quick. Will Westmoreland. Yeah, he's updating just about a few times a week, it looks like. And then before that was less. But like he said, he is also a political advisor. So interesting to hear from that man right there. But we're gonna learn more about American farming from that gentleman. He sounds like a content expert. All right. Let's go on to some more clips, some more farmers here, and understand what the hell they are going through.
We've got this farm crisis now, and this president
so this is Senator Chuck Grassley, actually.
Should deal with this farm crisis right now. I'm hearing from bankers. I'm hearing from people that are getting pressed by their bankers to maybe sell part of their farm. So they want to sell to somebody that when they build up their equity, they might be able to buy it back. We haven't had this kind of stress in agriculture since the 1980s, putting 50% tariffs on things that have steel in them when you can't buy those things in the United States and you need them for your tractor.
S. Walsh Gummer says, can I make a Chungus Ruth candy bar? Thank you for the 10. Okay, so if we're going to do merch like that, and you have the capabilities of making a delicious, yummy Chungus Ruth candy bar, we're going to have to donate most of the proceeds to a fundraiser. But wouldn't that be cool? But we'd have to figure out a way to where it would be enough for you to make it like a nonprofit or something. If we're going to do that. I'm not trying to sell my freaking name on a candy bar and take money. Oh, maybe like, I don't know, 10%.
To be finally manufactured. There shouldn't be tariffs on things that you can't get in the United States. Why drive up the price of John Deere's because of a tariff on something they need for the tractor that they can't even get in the United States? It's a stupid policy. We've got this.
All right, stupid policies. Okay, so I believe this guy. I think this guy right here voted for him and is still like cucking.
It was awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Bachman blames President Trump for the soybean crisis, even though he voted for him. He says new tariffs are forcing China to buy soybeans from Argentina and Brazil. Now many Iowa farmers face selling this year's crop at a huge loss.
The way things are, there won't be a farmer left in 5 years if things don't change because
I think he's being generous there. There won't be a farmer left in 5 years. That sounds extremely generous. Because the reports are saying most people are going to lose their farms within 8 months. These people are living paycheck to paycheck just like us, right? Even though they get big paychecks, but they have big land, big expensive, big costs. Most of them are using outdated equipment that they have to maintain, which costs extra fuel and energy because they're not going out and buying new fancy tractors. Not that we can even get the parts for them with the tariffs, but they're living paycheck to paycheck as well.
Our expenses are so high, and the crop is worth less than it was 30 years ago.
Bachman survived the farm crisis during the 1980s. It led to thousands of farm foreclosures. If the federal government offers crop payments to help farmers, Bachman says he'll say no thanks.
We would a lot rather have free markets than a handout.
Bachman recently asked Iowa Senator Charles Grassley for help with those free markets.
I told him that the 1980s farm crisis is going to look like a picnic compared to today if things don't change and change fast. It's awful discouraging.
So, a little bit of history here. The United States experienced a major farm crisis during the 1980s due to economic conditions. The crisis has reached its peak in the mid-1980s, resulting in numerous foreclosures and ultimately rural flight. American farmers in the 20th century tended to overproduce crops compared to the prices the crops could sell for, leading to an effect known as the cost price squeeze, where the income received did not meet the cost of production. So that's a crisis that happened in the 1980s. They were having issues as well. However, there was an oil crisis as well. 1973 oil crisis increased the cost of fuel, further depressing the net income of farmers. So they had additional strains on them as well before the 1980s. There's a lot to research on this. A lot more to do. Oh, come on, feed.
Trump's illegal tariffs have single-handedly destroyed the U.S. soybean market. As of yesterday, the price of soybeans is about $9.34 here in Iowa. The cost of production is anywhere from $11 to $11.50.
BB, thank you. BB, shout out to Blonde Bombshell for the 10 gifteds, guys. My channel this last month or two has been so slow to grow. So slow. I think I had like 2 subs this entire 2 months. I don't know. It's because I've been spotty. I haven't been hitting the algorithm, right? But we're getting back into it, guys. We're pushing 100%. So shout out to BB for the gifteds to everybody. I'm glad you guys got it. We'll add new emojis as well coming up.
Of soybeans, it's about a $2 loss. And when you add the fact that it's about 50 bushels in an acre of soybeans here, you can do the math to see how bad things are. Historically, 60% of Iowa soybeans have gone to China. With Trump's trade wars from his first administration, the U.S. has become an unreliable supplier. So instead of these soybeans going to China, it's soybeans from South America, like places like Brazil and Argentina. That leads to more grains going to be left in the bin, which means to oversupply, which means to lower prices. So here's what we need to do. We need to demand trade, not aid. Farmers don't want a bailout, they want markets. The second thing we need to do is push for competition, both on the market side and especially on the input side with seed and fertilizer costs.
So keep in mind also, I know they're saying the big beautiful bill, the tariff money is going to come, and they're going to give it all to the farmers. My ass. They're going to give it to their corporate buddies. They're going to give it to Monsanto and these other gigantic farm companies that are absolutely destroying these people. There's no love here. Trump doesn't give a fuck about these people. He wants their farmland. He's been thinking about it for generations. He's been talking about tariffs and China and soybean markets. He's been talking about that since probably, I think it was 1980s. He started talking about this. This is a plan in the making. They want to financially crush, absolutely bankrupt these men and women and their farms and take their land. They're going to have to sell it, right? Well, guess what? The big companies are going to buy it up. That's exactly what's going on. They did the same thing to the cattle industry, and I got a clip to share with that about IBP and what's the other one? National Beef. I believe it's National Beef as well, and a couple others. But we'll get into that a little more.
All right, I'm back.
So here's a little bit about the inflation costs. So everything runs off of corn, soybean costs, right? Corn, ethanol, corn food, corn feed for animals, soybeans food. They're making soybean straws. They're making all sorts of stuff like biodegradable straws are now made out of soybeans. So soybean is more than just exported food, but it causes inflation, right? And now we're destroying all this. We're not getting income for it. You're looking at food costs shooting up, along with the immigration crisis where they're taking all the immigrants and the field workers away, and the harvesting issues. Now they got to pay other people more money, and the strain is real. You see it at the grocery store when you go buy food.
Back at the store, I know I was a little harsh last week about the low prices that were not so low, but I figured I'm going to give the House Republicans the benefit of the doubt on their big, beautiful bill, and I bet the prices have dropped now. Nice little package of tomatoes. Can't wait to throw some of these down. Oh yes, love pistachios. What? Okay, time for cheese. Got some Parmesan. Excuse me. Let me try this little guy. What? All right, these must be affordable. They can like literally fit in the size of my hand. What? Okay, a lot of little kids in the house.
That was actual Roquefort. That wasn't even blue cheese. That was French blue cheese. That was Roquefort.
House. Oh my God. Where's the beef? All right, this looks good. Maybe I'll stick to ground beef. What the? Maybe a small piece of ham will have to do.
Dude, the ham prices are out of control. I paid $6.99 for a little Farmer John steak at grocery outlet, right? A little teeny tiny steak like that. I don't eat a lot of ham. There's reasons why. I might be able to find a clip why even.
Just gonna stick to some hot dogs. Yes, I love sriracha. I don't love sriracha.
Yeah. All right, Eric Swalwell. Showing us reality, guys. It's insane. Like I said, $45 for a tri-tip the other day at the store. $12.99 a pound. 15 years ago, $2.97. Now, okay, $3.98 a pound trimmed. $3.98. So it's tripled in 15 years. The price of beef. The price of beef has tripled in 15 freaking years.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Cayman High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with...
S. Walsh with another 10. Thank you for the 10. Officially lost my federal employment yesterday. Anyway, you have to remember how profound that oath is. Oh my God, dude. I'm so sorry to hear that. But if it makes you feel any better, I've gone through some similar scrutiny in my well-being. That I cannot get into. But yes, it's affecting more than just you. And I can't discuss that any further, but you are not alone in the situation, okay? These motherfuckers out there are ruthless. They are absolutely ruthless, and they will stab you in the fucking back and say shit about you that is crazy. So I feel for you. I hope things work out for you. I'm terribly sorry to hear that, but I wish I had a light at the end of the tunnel. I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is midterms are coming.
With Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers because I watch how hard they work to get this crop in the ground and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. That people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values. And that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many of his businesses failed, and those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this, let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices.
Right. So all that money, it's coming from us. We are the ones paying for it, for these grants, to bail out these farmers. It is tax money. China's not hurting from this. China's probably getting a better deal than they got in the United States anyways, in Argentina and Brazil, right? I mean, when you mention costs of soybeans in Argentina and costs of soybeans in the United States, which one in your mind is going to be cheaper? Especially when you slap a huge tariff on it. It seems to me like it is by design, right? You have a real estate tycoon, allegedly, Donald Trump is president, who's been talking about tariffs on China since the 1980s, right? What a great way to land grab. Oh, China bad, China this, tariff China, tariffs come back from China, they don't buy our soybeans anymore, soybeans go out of business, everybody's already growing soybeans because it was a cash cow in the late 80s and 90s, everybody made a ton of money, it grew exponentially, it was even growing a year ago. Everybody's like, soybeans are great, there's articles on it. And now, all of a sudden, all the soybean farmers are hurting and they're losing their farms for the bigger companies to come and gobble them up. This is a war on the farmers of America from the Trump administration. Clear cut, a planned. This wasn't just his plan. Someone helped him put it together. Because he's not a patriot. He doesn't care about lines on a map. He doesn't care about the United States. He's a grifter. And he has conned these people into voting for him. And now he's going to take all their land.
And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, the idea that immigration people come here and, they're using our tax dollars. Blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away.
So I think that was in 2018, 2019. We had the same thing. We had a trade war going on. Soybean costs went all the way down. China was giving us hell again. And the soybean farmers took a big shit as well. So Trump's been after this for a while. I don't think he had enough political leverage to do everything he wanted last time because people were still feeling him out. But this time, he doesn't give a shit. Last term, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and so are my friends. Right? And yeah, they've totally been brainwashed. A lot of these people have voted for him over and over again. It's pick yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. Oh, well, you had a bad year. It'll tough on you, right? No, they've planned this out. This is planned. There's parts of 2025, Project 2025, they're involved in this as well. I'm gonna refer back to the gentleman we watched earlier for that information, Will Westmoreland, and then we'll discuss more of that later on in a future stream.
And so corporatized farming and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything. I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field.
My stream page went down. How's the connection, guys? Spider-Fate, thank you for the $1.49. Appreciate it. $1.49 New Zealand. Appreciate it. Is the stream good, guys? It's still up. I don't see spinning wheels. Good to know. Genesis Fix on TikTok coming out and speaking some words. I really like this guy too. We need to listen more to the American farmers for sure. This guy right here. Okay, here is an immediate example of the impact of the Trump tariffs and what's going on. And he is very outspoken about it. And his energy, oh my. Oh my.
Not only farmers should be disgusted and absolutely embarrassed by this current fucking administration, everybody in the world should be embarrassed by what is going on right now. Guys, this single loaf of Splorn right here could feed one household for a month. Look at all these Splorn bales. But the United States Department of Agriculture is making me destroy this Splorn crop because it is unmarketable, because China will not buy our Splorn to process it into food. And so the United States government is giving me a grant to destroy these bales. Now, where's my morality? I should not accept the money, and I should donate these bales to the hungry and needy. But here's the thing. I signed my fucking life away with the Department of Agriculture, and I am legally bound to destroy these bales in order to receive my $896,000 check for this Splorn crop that I cannot market because China refuses to buy our Splorn. What the fuck, America? No.
Why are we destroying it? Why are we destroying food? Why are we not donating the food? Because of some level of bureaucracy that says it needs to be destroyed? This is wild. This is wild. Like, process it and give it to homeless shelters. Give it to turn into dog food, right? Bring it to animal shelters. Do anything with it. But he has to burn all those. He has to burn all that food because the administration told him to. Because the Department of Agriculture is making him do it. Contracted to destroy perfectly fine food. It makes no sense. It is nonsensible. It's straight evil. It's evil for us to just absolutely burn taxpayer money away and burn food that could be given away. I can't make the sense of that. I don't know the legality behind the contract or whatever deal he has with the USDA. I don't know, but this is repulsive. Absolutely repulsive. And I'm going to dig further into it. I'm going to dig further into it and see what the reasoning is. Why isn't there a clause? Why isn't there something in the contracts to say, okay, donate it? Is it because someone can resell it and that could throw the markets off? I don't know. Someone help me out there. I have no idea why they would destroy it.
Never in my life faced a time, and I've been farming since 1993 on my own, where the outlook is so bleak financially.
In a year where crops have been tested by Mother Nature, the toughest test may lie just ahead for farmers. Harvest begins across Arkansas, but for farmers like Cliff Carter...
Or even give them a subsidy, right? Because I'm sure they consult to some processing plant in the United States that wants to make dog food or something, right? Give them, subsidize them. Give them, okay, they get $3.50 where they would get $8 usually. At least let them get the $3.50 and then subsidize the difference, which would cost taxpayers less, right? You would think that would be sensible.
The challenge will happen after.
This is the first time in my life farming that I still have crop in my bins that I can't sell.
Despite a good crop this year, Carter says the prices they get for those crops won't cover expenses. He's not alone. Ag America reported in March the agricultural trade could reach a record trade deficit. Carter says the price for crops has dropped drastically.
Basically,
hey, S. Walsh, we'll talk to you later, man. Hang in there. I hope you find a new job. Things will pop back up. It will. I'm feeling a flood in my line of work that is non-governmental from government people knocking me out of work. So let's go YouTube.
We're getting out a bushel of corn or a bushel of rice would be like you making $5 an hour and trying to pay your bills at home. In today's time, we can't do it.
Carter says farmers face challenges from several angles. Earlier this year, tariffs were imposed on U.S. exports. Carter said while businesses can fight tariffs by raising their prices, the reality is not the same for farmers.
We can't do that. Our price, the price is set for us is global market.
He said those tariffs are costing farmers their biggest customers.
Mexico and China are the two biggest rice buyers for the United. They buy more rice off of us than anyone. And when they stop buying rice, we have nowhere to go with the rice.
Carter said it's not just tariffs. The rise in global competitors like Brazil is also hurting farmers. Selling domestically is an option, but...
I was offered $3.90 a bushel for rice last week to make dog food out of. That won't even cover my seed cost hardly.
Agriculture is a $20 billion industry in Arkansas. Carter fears that failure for farmers won't just stop with them.
It won't be a trickle-down effect. It will be like flushing a toilet if the ag industry collapses.
Carter says farmers need help from the government to help bridge the gap between the cost of producing crops and selling them.
I've never in my life.
That's wild, man. I mean, they can't even make money selling it in the United States. Like selling it domestically. Like I said, with subsidies, okay, to start out with, and then maybe with the market to grow, maybe over a period of time. Everybody's eating rice and soybeans in the United States. Our dogs are eating rice and soybeans. There's a market demand, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see the competitiveness there. I don't see it happening. Especially when it costs less to import grains elsewhere. Like, no company in the United States is going to pay an American farmer more for their product when they can get it cheaper somewhere else. They're just not going to do it. Unless they're absolutely, like, forced to. Right? Which is authoritarian in nature. We're getting out of a free market at that point when you're telling people where they can and can't buy. So it's a slippery slope. And yeah, they're going to continue to hurt unless something changes. It's great that they're finally coming out and talking about it, though.
Well, we depend on the Chinese market. And the reason we depend so much on this market is China consumes 61% of soybeans produced worldwide. The rest of the world is 39%. Of the soybeans that American farmers produce, 25% currently have been going to China.
Richard Don Quixote says, one farmer I worked for took subsidies that led to a U.S. Department ag loan that led to foreclosure. He barely saved his home, paid off the debt, and bought back his own land from the government. That's sketchy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You wonder why the Harry Carry rate is 50% higher than the average American.
And right now, we have zero sold for this crop that's starting to be harvested right now. Dude. So it's a 5-alarm fire for our industry that 25% of our total sales is currently missing. And right now, we are not price competitive with Brazil. due to the retaliatory tariffs that are in place. Our prices are about 20% higher, and that means that the Chinese are going elsewhere because they can find a better value. And the American soybean farmers and their families are suffering. There's 500,000 of us that produce soybeans, and we desperately need markets, and we need opportunity, and we need a level playing field so we can compete, because we grow a great product, but we have to be price competitive as well. And there's an artificial barrier that is built with these tariffs that makes us not be competitive. Well, we depend.
All right, before we go any further, I just want to plug. I want to throw a plug, guys. I want to plug the fundraiser we have pinned. If you just tuned in, I noticed we have a few more viewers than last time. Not a huge amount. Actually, it's quite a small stream compared to usual, but hey, that's what I get for not streaming in a while. We got a fundraiser going for my buddy Dima, right? It was his baby shower. Maybe some of you saw some of the photos I had from the last rally and his baby shower that I posted. See if I can find any that I can share. I can share that one. We'll find a better one. That one's kind of all over the. There we go. All right, this is Dima. This is Dmitry Morozov. He's very famous. He's a famous Ukrainian soldier. He spent 6 months in captivity with the Russians when the siege of Mariupol happened, which was his hometown. He was in Azovstal steel factory. He was, I think it was like Lazar, or something like that. I gave him my Bandera mobile patch from Car for Ukraine at his baby shower there. He's getting me drunk on champagne. He is one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. One of the nicest guys. And he knew, he handpicked me to be at the baby shower. He invited me and 3 other dudes, right? Here I am with this Russian hacker that works for the military. Here I am with this other guy who brought gifts to Ukraine when the war broke out. I'm just like, and me? And he could tell I got a big heart. He's good at reading people. He's a great guy. Spent 6 months in captivity. His family was getting hunted by Spetsnaz. His wife, his son, when they were escaping Mariupol because they knew who he was. He came to the United States for medical treatment for his son and to start a better life. Thought he'd give it a shot abroad. And we kind of failed him over here, guys. I'm not going to lie. Our immigration system put a lot of pressure on him. And he felt like he needed to go back home. So he did. So now he's back home in Ukraine. And we're throwing an online baby shower for him, guys. And I'm not saying that this money's going to go just to him and the baby. I'm not. They're fundraising a second vehicle for Lazar. So, I haven't set a goal. I don't know what it is. We're not going to make a goal. For the entire month of October, we're going to donate to Dima through his PayPal, which I have pinned in the description, for a baby shower. Baby shower. And let him decide where the money goes, because he is that trustworthy. He is the man. This is a real Ukrainian hero here. He is a national hero. He gets standing ovations when he goes to events. At the church we were at, he got a standing ovation. I'm sitting right next to the guy across from him, right? So we're gonna help him out now. He has no idea I'm doing this either. That's the beauty of it. He has no idea. So if we could, let's hit up his PayPal. There's no link. Ukrainian PayPals don't have a link. But I have his PayPal address pinned. So you would need to copy it, go to his PayPal, say from Pablo's community for baby shower, and he will know. He'll know at that point. Then I'll hit him up in a few days and be like, hey, check your PayPal. I think that'd be a great thing to do. That's the fundraiser I'm going to be supporting for this month. And then we will venture on to other needs. That is my plug for the fundraiser. Let's continue.
We're looking at 1 to 3 farms. 1 out of every 3 farms going out of business right now.
Representative and farmer herself, Deanne Vaught, explains the message her and other agriculture leaders discussed during Tuesday's public meeting in Stuttgart. They say it's a tough situation for farms, many of which have been around for decades.
the heartache of having to decide if I can carry on with the 5th generation farm or the 4th generation farm, and knowing that it lands on me if I don't move forward. That is a lot for a farmer to carry on their shoulders.
Now, despite a recent report from the U of A Systems Division of Agriculture showing net farm income expected to rise 22% this year, experts like Jeremy Ross say the math on the ground tells a different story.
You get $10 and you harvest a 55 bushel crop, that's $550, and it costs you $580 to put that in, then you're $30 in the hole.
Meaning many...
You don't ever listen to reports on this shit. They're reports. People make those reports. They're paid off. You can tell by the harvest. You can tell by what the farmers are telling you. My old boss, back when I was a meat cutter for like a decade, he could tell you by looking at the auctions of the cattle how much the price of beef was going to be for the entire year. He could tell you how much it was going to be. We're going to have a good year. It's going to be low cost, high cost, just by doing that. By looking, you have to listen to the farmers on this one. They are the content experts. They are the ones that are going to tell us what's going to happen.
Farmers are operating at a loss with debts that carry over year to year.
BB,
the truth is, it doesn't really matter what you grow. You are projected to lose money on an acre, really no matter what you've planted on it.
You can message him whatever you want, but if he'll know. As soon as he starts seeing Pablo's community, he'll know. But if you want to put for baby shower, for Pablo's community, whatever you want to tell him. He's got a heart of gold. I'm telling you, he's his class and character is something that this country desperately desires, and it breaks my heart to see that man have to go back or choose to go back because of our immigration policy and the way things are here. It absolutely kills me. He is that good of a man, and to have a national hero, a warrior like that, to see him have to go back and leave the United States kills me. But men of that caliber, they're hard to come by. He's one of the best men I've ever met, and just awesome human being. I will be seeing him when I go to Ukraine.
Brandy Carroll with the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation says inflation, tariffs, and global conflicts have all driven up costs, while crop prices remain depressed. And while experts say the Big Beautiful Bill Act will provide $66 billion in new farm investment starting in 2026, Carroll says by then it's too late.
And so they're facing a really hard choice right now, how to keep their families on their farm and how to maintain their way of life. And so there will be a lot of people making really hard choices.
We're looking at 1 to 3 farms. 1 out of every 3 farms going out of business right now.
Representative and farmer herself, Deanne Vaught, explains the message her and other agriculture leaders discussed during Tuesday's public meeting in Stuttgart. They say it's a tough situation for farmers.
I just played it. God, I was on Dima. I didn't even realize I was playing the clip over next clip. All right, a little bit more. This is a little bit more from Will.
Expert, and let's talk about it. Now, the problem is President Trump's order to freeze most federal grants and loans has created a panic and uncertainty within the agricultural sector, which relies on billions of dollars in direct government assistance for loans, disaster relief, and conservation practices, many of which have been around since the days of FDR, and farmers have begun to rely on them. Now, if you've watched the news at all, you know that a federal judge blocked the order on Tuesday. The problem is, and what the media isn't telling you, is that farmers and ranchers over the last week to 10 days have begun to receive letters telling them that the government may not be able to live up to the promises they made in these signed contracts with farmers and ranchers to improve conservation and increase productivity on the farm. Sadly, I watched one cattle farmer video last night in the state of Missouri where he said that he's going to fall $80,000 short in funding because the government promised him that if he and his family invested in good conservation practices, they would support his efforts with grants and loans. He received a letter in the past 10 days telling him that they couldn't keep their promise even though they have a signed contract. And as a direct result, he's going to fall $80,000 short on his spring loan payment. And the only option he has right now is to sell his cattle. And he needs those cattle because those cattle are going to have calves, and he needs those calves to pay his fall payment. It's a no-win situation, and it's not his fault. My friends, this is the problem with electing a president that knows nothing about agriculture and placing people at the Department of Agriculture whose only understanding of growing crops and raising livestock is what they learned in a YouTube video on the plane on their way to Washington, D.C. To give you an example of the size of the problem, farmers received more than $10.5 billion in direct government payments in 2024, nearly half of which came from conservation programs, and that figure doesn't include federal crop insurance, which accounted for over $19 billion just in 2022 alone. And the consequences not only impact a farmer's ability to pay his loans, they also run the risk of costing farmers the land itself. As an example, the federal government approved a $2.3 million low-interest federal loan to replace drainage tiles in Montgomery County, Illinois. The loan was part of a $307 million USDA grant program to modernize rural drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. And for those of you that didn't grow up on a farm, drainage tiles or pipes buried under farmland carry away excess water. Farmers began using them in the 1890s, and many of these tiles in Montgomery County, Illinois are collapsing, and that causes flooding. And flooding prevents farmers from planting their crops. Now, farmers are starting to understand the extent of Trump's lack of knowledge, and they're starting to speak out. One farmer was quoted as saying, Trump has no knowledge, zero knowledge of what's important relating to agriculture, especially agricultural drainage. Unless you think that the grant programs spelled out in the freeze are the only way the Trump administration is attacking small family farms and ranches, remember this. This is just one piece of the puzzle. Before attempting to freeze federal grants and loans, Trump signed an executive order suspending all Inflation Reduction Act funding, including the USDA's Partnership for Climate, Smart Commodities, and a program aimed at supporting sustainable farming practices. The Inflation Reduction Act is a cornerstone of former President Joe Biden's climate policy, and it allocated $400 billion in funding and tax credits to spur conservation and green energy efforts. And many people don't know that billions of those dollars went into agriculture. Now, I know it's easy for Americans who are not involved in agriculture to simply say, well, that's who they voted for, or FAFO. But I'm simply asking everyone to remember that 30% of farmers and ranchers did not vote for Donald Trump. And the consequences of our inability to raise the amount of food that we need to grow to feed our country, and to grow the amount of livestock that we need to grow to feed our country and the world, will be felt mostly by poor people, the elderly, and children, more than anybody else. Now, I made a decision yesterday that from now on, when I do these videos, I'm going to end them with a call to action, to tell people what they can do to make a difference. And here's your call for action. I'm asking everyone who watches this video and cares about food prices and the small family farm and ranch to call your elected officials, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, and tell them that the federal government needs to keep its word to small family farms and ranches. They need to provide the money that they promised they would provide for conservation efforts, improve farming, and increase productivity on the family farm. Farmers were counting on this when they signed the paper and spent the money that they spent. And don't let your politicians tell you that farmers aren't in danger. These letters have already gone out, and farmers have already been notified that they may not receive the funds that they were promised. And any politician that tells you otherwise is either sorely misinformed or they're lying to you. And I'm going to ask you to do one other thing. Please follow me here on TikTok and on YouTube. On YouTube, we go under the name Westmoreland Pops. And join the Back 40, because we're fighting every day to improve life in rural America and to stand up against politicians who claim to support rural Americans but vote every day against their best interests. If we combine our voices and we work together, we can make a positive difference and bring about critical change. Thanks, everybody. My name's Will. That's the news from the Back 40, and I hope you have a great expert.
All right, yeah, I just plugged this guy's YouTube channel one more time into the chat. Maybe we could throw him some subs. Comment on the stream, say from the Renegade Chungus YouTube community who supports you or something. Let's get this guy's attention. I want him on the show. I want him on the show before he gets too big. As elevators, he's in prime time now. I know more about cat. Oh. Alright, now I'm getting a spinning wheel. I'm just reading over your comments real quick. Huge shout out to Renegade Chungus. Awesome chat. You guys are priceless. Yep, we love you guys. Thank you guys for supporting Ukraine too. Absolutely. But as much as we're supporting Ukraine, I feel like right now in our United States, it's important to support American farmers who are actively fighting against the Trump administration. I feel like we need let's give this guy a follow. You could let him know I aired some of his stuff on the channel. We agreed with a lot what he was saying, and we support American farmers, and we need to get more farmers speaking up against the Trump administration. We need to, whatever you guys want to say whatever you want. But this guy right here, I think he's gonna gain some serious traction if we can get his algorithm up, and we need to. We need to. Oh, is it going to play this one? Please play this one. So I wanted to go in a little bit into the pork and beef industry as well.
Back in the day, 1 square mile would have as many as 4 different farm families on it. Now all of a sudden you have to go 4, 5, or 6 miles to find a farmer. When a farmer leaves a community, or he has no longer a purpose within that community, he not only goes himself, but he also takes the future and the potential future when he moves his family.
Come on, baby. This is Ron Martinson. He lives in Elliott, Iowa, and raises pigs from farrow to finish, or from birth to slaughter. For generations, this is what hog farming looked like in the state of Iowa. But in the last 40 years, Iowa lost 90% of its family farms. That's 40,000 farms that used to look a lot like Ron's. In those same 40 years, the number of hogs that have been raised, slaughtered, and sold has exploded, and the profits made in the hog industry in the state of Iowa has increased by 300%. You don't see that growth in the communities anymore. So where did that money go?
It used to be you drive rural Iowa and you see animals on the land. Now you don't see them, but you smell them.
Hog farms today look a lot more like this. These large metal sheds, called concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs, have taken their place. And all the profit that sustained farmers' lives went to just 3 companies that now dominate every aspect of the pork industry: Smithfield, JBS, and Tyson. We're going to talk about Tyson because their way of doing business set the standard not only in hog country, but in the entire meat industry. They control 20% of all the pork, beef, and chicken that you buy at the grocery store or get at fast food restaurants, including a lot of brands you might not even know they own. Tyson uses that monopoly power to charge you more and pay farmers less. It's profits off the back of farmers. It's pitted neighbor against neighbor. And Tyson has destroyed not just the economy of Iowa, but the ecology as well.
They're chasing them almighty dollar, but the people who have to live with their creations have to live next to their CAFOs on a daily basis.
Ron's style of farming is the same as his father's and 4 previous generations of farmers before.
We live around here with the idea that we want a pig to be a pig.
On Ron's farm, the lifestyle of a hog goes like this. Sows will gestate for about 4 months.
And that is 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days.
Then piglets are born in these small wooden pens. Piglets are weaned from their mothers and spend another few weeks in the field before they're transferred to hoop barns like these.
And they will be there until they're about 180 days of age. And at that time, they will weigh about 295 pounds, and that's when they're harvested.
When CAFO started arriving in the neighboring towns and counties, Ron and his father made the decision not to convert to the industrial model.
First off, it was a significant capital investment, but we also felt that the consequences from that decision were too restricting or too confining, not only in terms of our own financial commitment and our own financial security, but also the overall welfare of the animals.
But he watched neighboring farms shut down and farmers leave the area. Meanwhile, in Hardin County, where Nick Shute lives, the kind of operations that replaced farms like Ron's dot the landscape.
Kept waiting for these facilities to fail, but instead of failing, our way of life failed. There's not a whole lot of us left, us independent hog farmers.
Nick's a farmer too, but his operation has gotten smaller and smaller over the years.
All right, I wanted to show you a little bit of that. I found exactly what I was looking for. So that is a small rural farm, right? I am going to share with you, this is an older clip. I fact checked it. I had to go and see if this was legitimate. And from everything I saw, this is as real as it gets. I'm going to play this for you. Bacon lovers, be warned. This is extremely disturbing. Be warned.
Plastic, cardboard boxes, pallets, everything's grounded into this right here.
They send this stuff off to be eaten by the hogs, and then the hogs are killed, and then we eat them. I felt like I had to tell the world.
Y'all believe me now.
Go up the line to that big shit called a grinder. They grinds it out and turn it into that shit. And then the hog eats it. This is what it looked like when it's done.
I took the video because I was like, I've never seen nothing like this. This can't be like legal.
It is legal. They allow a certain amount of plastics to be mixed in with the hog food. And the hogs eat the plastics, right? We've all heard about this, right? But this man videotaped it and he lost his job because of it. 27 states it's legal, including mine.
I told you guys.
Shout out to all my followers. I love you guys. But let's have a little class. As you see the AAFCO, this is the official publication for things that are allowed in animal feed in America. So let's look down here. And what does it say? Plastics. Plastics, plastics, plastics. I told you. Okay, let's look a little more. What does it say?
So I checked it up. I looked into this article a little bit. I believe this was a Smithfield Prime factory in either South or North Carolina where this was occurring, and yes, it actually did occur. And they said they have a separator in place to remove some of the plastics, but not all of the plastics. And it's clear, it's very clear to me the majority of this is not, maybe the majority of it is being separated, but plastics. And then we complain about why everybody's getting sick, why everybody's getting cancers and diseases, and we wonder why Americans are so sick. We wonder, these large corporations, factories that process our foods, feed our cattle, that have taken over the small farm industry are absolutely poisoning us. They are killing us with the meat we eat. Okay? I told you, be warned. You'll never look at bacon the same way pork. If you haven't seen that video, if you haven't seen anything about it, I looked it up. Fact check it yourself. Go look it up. They grind the plastics into the food and feed the food to the pigs. Then we eat the pigs. And the tism comes from Tylenol. I'm fucking dead. I got a headache. Where's my tizzy? Yeah, so a little bit about these large corporations, right? So expect that from the farming or from the pork industry. Definitely when Monsanto and all them take it over, you can expect it also from the agricultural produce industry as well, which we've already heard cases of and heard all sorts of reports. But that was factual. I've seen it. I've looked it up. They did not even deny the fact that it was happening in the plant, guys. So this is how big beef also, we'll go to big beef. This is how big beef took over the industry. And I was in this industry for this. I saw this occur.
Well, once they disappear and all you've got left is IBP, Cargill, and ConAgra.
Did they buy out?
No, they just broke them. They didn't buy them out. They just busted them. They just put them out of business. And there's a whole story.
How'd they put them out of business?
There's a whole story around that in the Midwest. There's got all these small plants that produce nothing but carcasses. And I grew up in Evergreen, Colorado, working at Thrifty Food Market, and I worked in the meat department there. Everything we did was from a carcass. So we got carcass beef in hanging, like we do in Colorado Springs right now, and we processed all of that into a finished retail meat counter every day. The meat packers were not doing boxed beef.
Okay.
And so it was really boxed beef that killed the small plants.
I
and
see.
the lack and the de-skilling of the meat cutters in all of these grocery stores. See, a meat cutter in a grocery store used to be a real butcher. He could take a carcass and cut it up. Well, nobody can do that now because
I can, but I am from the box beef generation. All right, but I can break down cattle. I've broken down cattle on my sun porch. I've bought half a steer before me and another guy named John shredded it. He was so fast I could barely cut any with him. I was mostly wrapping it, but I could break down a head of cattle, a hog. It's a lost skill, and a lot of the reason why is they'll say it's workers' comp claims because people get hurt. Yeah, you do dumb shit in the meat department. I could tell you fucking wild stories of stupid stuff we did. But the real reason is they had to cut costs, and I'll show you exactly. This breaks down how the whole system was cornered by the Big Four. I believe it's the Big Four.
they're getting boxed beef. They're getting the primals in a box, and so this is how they've put the meat cutters out of business that actually knew what they were doing. And when we went to boxed beef, it essentially enabled the de-skilling of the industry. And so the big retailers made a lot more money because they got rid of the high-priced labor in the meat department. And the unions had to agree to it, which they did because they were bribed. The grocery store executives were bribed by IBP, and this is a whole case that Jonathan Quitney wrote about in the book, The Mafia in the Marketplace, where IBP bribed the meat mafia in New York City to get boxed beef in.
So
well, once they get the
IBP was one of the major buyers of where I worked in the meat industry. I believe it was National Beef and IBP were the two major ones I saw mostly.
Boxed beef in, that now you really can control the market a lot more. So you've got IBP, Cargill, ConAgra, and National Beef. Those were the only four packers that were essentially left.
So talking about the difference in box.
So yeah, National Beef was the other big one. I did see some ConAgra. I don't recognize the other name.
Boxed beef and a carcass. This is a carcass.
That's a carcass.
Right.
And boxed beef is when you break this carcass down into the pieces.
And put it in
most people don't know how to do.
Okay.
So that then can be shipped off to big grocery stores and restaurants and whatever that may want to further process and cut into the various steaks and different chuck roasts and arm roasts and all the various parts and pieces. They can now buy that in a box and not have to buy so many bones, and they don't have to buy the trim. They don't have to worry about, well, how would you sell this much ground beef? That goes somewhere else. That goes to McDonald's or to a hamburger place.
So when we're talking about carcass versus boxed beef, we're talking about the fact that instead of doing this, it's already cut.
Right. And so what IBP did is they put in box plants at all their main plants. And so what they did is they got these small packers in the Midwest that were producing carcasses to sell them their carcasses. So think about it. You're a small plant, Cornland, for example, out of Lexington, Nebraska, and you're going out there and buying finished fat cattle.
It is hard. Skilled work should pay good. It is also grunt labor. I mean, you have to fill these coolers full of these boxes of pork and beef. And let me tell you, the boxes of pork shoulders, we call them pork butts. It's not the butt. The pork shoulders weigh up to 90 pounds, right? And you're unloading these gigantic trucks, right? You have to unload the load. You get loads every other day, right? You're putting 90 pounds of pork over your head. I mean, over your head. We used to stack it to the roof. No one cared. No one said anything. Fill it up. This is where it goes. Okay. So you stack it. You're putting 90-pound boxes of beef over your head. This is what I did for a living. 10 years. Broke my body down. It was actually 3 cases of duck I lifted at once that blew my upper back out. I have pain. I've had lifelong injury from it. Never recovered. Too dumb to do like a workers' comp claim or anything. But yeah, it absolutely breaks your body down. I have arthritis from it in my ankles. I've got slip discs, bulging discs, you name it. It is physically demanding work.
In competition with IBP. But your only market then, because the grocery stores are only buying boxed beef now, your only market is to sell IBP the carcasses so that they can process those carcasses and sell. You're done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this was a plan. I've got a copy of it.
I see.
It was a plan that IBP put together. It was brilliant. It wiped out the competition, and now we've got 4 big meat packers left that basically cooperate with one another to maximize profits.
And so the retailers didn't want to deal with the carcass.
No, they got rid of their skilled labor.
So they didn't have to hire that.
They couldn't deal with a carcass anymore.
Right, because they didn't have anybody that could do it.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's 1986. I've just decided to build my own feedlot. And so I built it the best I could.
Yeah.
And this is a sandy type soil.
It is. It's very nice.
Good drainage, straight drainage
So it
out of the
lines-
pens.
he's
And
talking
these
the grade,
cattle.
so it doesn't get.
BB, I was never 7 foot tall. Okay, I was 8 foot tall. Okay.
They stay dry.
Yeah.
And plus, look how much room they have.
Yeah.
If this was a corporate feedlot, these pens would be stacked, packed full of cattle.
Yeah.
And they'd be muddy, and and then you get a big snow, and it's a disaster. I mean, there's nothing worse on cattle than mud. But the accountants are deciding how many cattle are in the pens. Not a cowboy. Not somebody that knows the importance of keeping animals comfortable and happy.
Right. So now, like, there's a whole bunch of empty pens over there and stuff.
Well,
so in '86 you were doing this, and then
this yard held 12,000 cattle.
12,000. What do you got in here now?
1,200.
1,200.
So we're at 10% of our capacity. 10%. But hey, I'm fine. We're selling meat instead of livestock.
Yes.
We're not losing a big part of the ranch every time we sell a load of cattle.
Right. How did you transition away from selling? Because at 12,000 head, you were actually selling to the packers, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, first of all, the packer came to me. The only one I had left buying from me was National Beef. That was it. All the rest of them bought from other feedlots, but they had already delegated territory, and I wasn't one of them that they bought from. So National Beef was buying my cattle. And they're one of the big four. They're one of the big four.
So that means you had no competition.
Zero.
Or they had your.
No competition.
They could tell you.
They came. They offered me a price. You had to take it. And of course, that didn't last long. I mean, we've lost 85,000 feedlots like this one because of a lack of competition. And so in 1998, the National Beef buyer came. And by then we had 14,000 head in a 12,000 head feedlot because we still had cattle coming in, but we couldn't get rid of the fat ones we had.
Okay.
And I says, Don, what are we going to do here? You're not buying my cattle. I've seen your trucks running down the highway right past us, and what's wrong with my cattle? And he finally admitted. He says, Mike, look, I've been told not to buy your cattle.
Why?
Because you're suing IBP, you're speaking out against the concentration and consolidation in the industry, and we don't like it. So we're not going to buy your cattle.
Keep in mind, he was selling his beef to National Beef, not IBP, even though he had a lawsuit with IBP. They're all in cahoots on it. They cornered the market.
So I picked up the phone and I called Dan Glickman, the Secretary of Agriculture at the time, the guy that was supposed to enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act, which was designed to keep the market competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, Dan, Mike Calicrate. Of course, he knew who I was. I'd testified before his committees and that, and he knew exactly who I was. And I says, Dan, I've just been told National won't buy my cattle anymore. What do you think? First I said, why don't you just enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act and I wouldn't have this problem? Well, Mike, in this age of globalization, we need big companies that can do business globally. That was the truth. That was the truth of what drove government at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Support big is better. And I said, well, Dan, that's not going to get my cattle sold. So he called ConAgra, which is now JBS out of Greeley. He called ConAgra and he says, go buy all Calicrate's cattle. Pay him the market. Whatever you got to do, you just take them all. And that's what happened. ConAgra bought every single one of my cattle. As they became fat,
and that's how it works, guys. You have to have a politician either on your friends list or up a sleeve to get it done right. This guy absolutely, he reached out. He had a lifeline, right? I've had to use a lifeline too with a city manager before, right? And that's all it takes for them to say. They call one of these major companies. They say, hey, buy from this guy. He's complaining. Shut him up. Buy his cattle. He's got a lawsuit going. He'll do it again. He obviously, this guy had some sort of political pull, probably in the local area as well. Would have made a big stink. I don't think it necessarily shut him up, but this one man had accommodations. Think how many different people didn't have that political accommodation that lost their business because of this, because of cornering the market. That's the same sort of favoritism you're going to see also with the soybeans. You're going to see a market cornered. You're going to see people, and now they're just making them go broke. Like they said, they made a lot of the cattle ranchers. They just went broke. The bigger guys shut them down, and I just showed you how they treat their meat, guys. So we need. I'm going to circle back. Right now, the hot topic is soybean farmers. We need to support our soybean farmers. I don't think it's time to tell them, ha, screw you. Ha, screw you, because they're feeling it too, right? It's time to say, hey, maybe you should join our team. Whatever team it may be. The team against Trump, it's now more than Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm independent. But I think it's time to get them on our team. We have to find ways to do that. And Richard Don Quixote, it sounds like you're kind of in the business already. It sounds like maybe you could throw some links in the Discord, guys. Join the Discord if you could. If you have any more links on this stuff, I'd like to cover this more as well. I want to keep focused on this.
Just another wonderful afternoon of existing in the Midwest. Made it till lunchtime without borrowing someone's bathtub and their toaster. I can't wait to hear how patriotic you guys all are, you know, while your friends are losing their family farms, your daughters and wives are losing the rights to make decisions about their own body. You know, anybody brown's getting shipped off in a bus to a fucking concentration camp in the middle of nowhere. Please tell me how this is patriotic. I don't get it. Maybe I'm a commie. I think I'm a commie. That's got to be the answer, right? Because there's no way that you could be wrong because you have America Jesus on your side. You know, walking around with his can of Skull and his Bush Light and his AR-15 while getting out of his Ford F-150 saying a racial slur. Just another wonderful...
We're going to cut it at that, guys. Rob, before I go, though, we're going to cut that. I had to throw it a little bit. He's right. We'll leave the last one out. Wow. Yeah, so that's what's happening right now with the American soybean war. I mean, and they're losing, right? So coming midterms, if they still have their properties, regardless, I think in the Midwest states we're going to see quite the leaning to blue, regardless of redistricting. I think we'll see. I don't know. You're fighting brainwash among their financial well-being, and we're going to have to see where that ends up, guys. Where that ends up. All right, we're going to plug. First off, now that I got your guys' attention, I aired it earlier. I will air it again, and I will make a separate video because I am fucking fearless. Well, not really. I'm a little scaredy cat sometimes. But for the Summer Sunshine campaign that you guys were a part of, let me pull it up. Somebody thought it was a good idea for me to do the Macarena so we could make 6,333 euros to buy an armored vehicle for the 5th Border Guard. I don't know who that was. Somebody said I should do the Macarena if we make a certain amount of money. We did. So, one more time, I present you the Macarena from Chungus.
Hey Chungus, you're a YouTuber. Watch a video on it, dummy.
Al rezar y cruzar la besa y me decías calimado en Macarena, en Macarena, que en Macarena.
Let's go, baby.
Macarena, en Macarena, en Macarena, en Macarena. Macarena, enamorado que termina y la senda me la he pasado. Macarena, el besame cosa la besa.
All right, well, hey, that was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun doing that one, guys. All right, that fundraiser was great. We didn't make our goal, but we did our damn best. This one right here, the one I have pinned, this is personal, guys. Personal. And he is a national hero. The money is not going to go to anywhere else but to either his baby who's got away. This man spent 6 months in Russian captivity. I'm going to let him decide. I know where it's going to go. It's going to go to the Lazar Group. He's going to buy the second armored vehicle with it, probably. And when I talk to him, maybe he can share some videos of some shit they're doing. Right? But I want to get him some donations first before I hit him up for some content. Because he has no fucking idea I'm doing this. Because, hey, that's what friends are all about, right? Surprise baby showers online, right? This is Dmitry Morozov. National Ukrainian hero and friend of mine. And we are going to fucking help him this entire month. Whatever it takes. I don't care if it's a $5 donation, a $1,000 donation, whatever. We are going to donate to Dima. And we're going to talk more about Dima Friday with Kim. Because Kim is friends with him too. He knows my family. I know his family. I mean, he's just the coolest dude ever. Right? Maybe I'll get him on the stream too for an interview. I haven't talked to him about that at all because I haven't talked to him about the war. I did once. I had a quick interview with him. It was my first time I was going to interview my first Ukrainian rally where we met. I talked to him, and I saw the hurt in his eyes when we were talking about Mariupol, and I knew right then it was too soon. Like, probably good for content, but not good for his psychological well-being at the time. So I haven't said another fucking thing about it. He's talked to me. But I've just been a friend to him. Hey, how are you? How are things going? How's things going in the United States? And whatnot. I think that was reciprocated well with him too. Because I'm not trying to press men like this and what they've been through. That's not... It's not what I'm there for, right? This guy's an awesome fucking guy. We got to help him. His PayPal is in the description. You're going to have to just look at it. If you're going to donate, look at it and type it out. Because it's also in the comments of the stream. You're going to have to look at it, type it out, because Ukraine doesn't allow PayPal links. So you can PayPal direct by typing in the email address, which I have linked. And that will go to him. Please leave something like... from Pablo's community, for baby shower, whatever you want to put, just let him know. Let him know we love him. Let him know he's in our thoughts. I will be seeing him again when I make it to Ukraine. I already told him. You should have seen his eyes when I told him, I'll come see you. And he paused. In Ukraine? I'm like, yeah? Should have seen the look on his face like, holy shit, you'd go to Ukraine right now? We're in fucking war. I think that was a full realization where he really had, and that was our goodbye. That's when I said goodbye. I think that was when the full realization was of how far I'm willing to go for that country and make sure they stay a sovereign nation, and my love for their people. So that's it for me, guys. Please, after the stream, hit the like, comment, subscribe, anything. Consider becoming a member if you haven't. We'll have some more emojis coming out. Stay tuned, hit the notifications, stay tuned for the updates. I'm trying to do daily video updates as well. If you could comment on those. Let's get my algorithm back up, guys. September was rough. August was kind of rough. September was really rough for me. And this last few weeks have personally, job related. The world's came for me at every angle, and I'm staying positive, and we're doing it. We're doing the YouTube thing. We're doing it all. We're championing it. As Steve would say, champion legend Chungus is in it to win it. We're going to stay with it, and we're going to fight the powers that be, guys. All right, that's all I got for you. I will talk to y'all later. Please remember, if you could, comment after the stream. Get it out there, guys. I need that algorithm going again. All right, peace out, guys. Thanks for being here.
They wave their flags like they own the sky, shouting loud, but they don't know why. Books untouched, their minds run dry. Truth's a stranger, they pass right by. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts deeds bring only shame, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. They chant the words they barely know, hollow pride in a shallow show, pointing fingers where the winds don't blow, building walls where the rivers flow. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. A patriot's heart should beat with grace, not with fists or a hate-filled face. If love's the seed, then let it grow, not in shadows, but where light will show. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame.
Why would you think Michelle Obama's a man?
Well, do a little research. Just do a little research.
But that's like out there.
What's out there is the fact that her walking out in a skirt, and there's an obvious bulge where there shouldn't be one.
Another day. Just run till you take your last breath. There's no time to sit around being lazy. Renegade junk is gonna grind out daisy. Survival schemes, raiding dreams like you don't care. Zombies crumbing on some bodies like a nightmare. Grabbing loot in the spawn might just fight there. And the goons shooting at me, yeah, we're out there. Keep the feet dry, light a fire if you're crazy. Survivors out there shooting, yeah, that's day. They try to take my loot, but I'm fast and I'm sneaky. Hearing footsteps in the woods, yeah, that's creepy. But I'm a wolf and all of you looking sheepy. Knock you one gone, now you feeling little sleepy. Waking up, your loot's gone, don't go crazy. Another day, another death, yeah, that's Daisy. Hear the bullets crack by your head, make you screech. Run, cover, keep your gun by your reach. Wear your armor and a helmet is what we preach. Or get your ass sent back to the beach. Clean your water, cook your food, wash your hands. Keep one eye on the bad guy and your friends. Watch for killers who shoot at you through a lens. But this is how the story always ends.